welcome everybody who has joined us. Thank you so much for joining us today, this morning. This is the second webinar in our webinar series for Fibroids Awareness Month. And today we have with us a nice panel where we're going to be talking about fibroids and exercise. So I want to welcome everybody who's joined us. Thank you so much for your time and for committing to be with us to learn from this webinar today. So I'm going to start and do a little intro. I'm going to introduce all of our panelists as we go through. So our first speaker that we have is Begho, and Abby is going to be telling us a little bit about fibroids and exercise in general, and just some information about Abby. So Abby holds a BSc in medical biochemistry from the University of Birmingham, an MSc in clinical biochemistry with molecular biology from the University of Surrey, and a master's in public health from King's College. Abby started her career in the pharmaceutical industry, and after 5 years of working with different pharmaceutical companies, she became the scientific program manager at the National Cancer Research Institute, based at Cancer Research UK. Abby also worked for the Ovarian Cancer Action as a healthcare project manager and has acted as a consultant to different charities. Abby is very passionate about giving back to her community, and over the years has volunteered with numerous health charities, helped with the development of mentoring programs, and delivered several health awareness presentations. Her passion and experience has led her to establish Lake Health and Wellbeing, which is a public health NGO based in St. Kitts. As the founder and director at Lake Health and Wellbeing, Abby works to improve the health and well-being of local, regional, and online communities. So it's my pleasure to introduce Abby as our first speaker today. So thanks, Abby, over to you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much for the introduction, Isley. So can everyone see my slides? Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so I am literally just going to give a brief overview of fibroids and exercise and what some of the benefits might be for women that are living with fibroids if they do engage in physical activity. So I am going to briefly talk about what the research tells us about exercise and fibroids. I'm going to talk about why exercise may have an impact on fibroids, and then what can we do as women who are living with fibroids, and then some conclusions. So when it comes to exercise, the public health community for a long time has recognized the benefits of exercise when it comes to people that are living with chronic illnesses. So much so that the former chief medical officer of the UK said if sport and physical activity were a drug, it would be regarded as a miracle. So I guess the question that I want to ask today is really, is that the case for women living with fibroids? Can we say that exercise is going to be a miracle for women that are living with women that are living with fibroids? So to answer that question, I guess the first thing that we need to do is look at what does the research tell us about fibroids and exercise? So there isn't a lot of research out there. So I'm just going to summarize very quickly what I was able to find. So starting off in China, back in 2013, the University of Peking, they did a study where they looked at occupational activity and fibroids. And what they mean by occupational activity is physical activity at work. So people that have jobs maybe where they're doing a lot of activity. And then they compared that with people that are not as physically active at work. And what they found was that moderate occupational activity significantly reduced the risk of developing fibroids in premenopausal women. So we're starting to see a little bit of a link between exercise and fibroids. So then if we move on to the National Institute of Environmental Studies in 2006, they also looked at exercise and fibroids. So what they did was they compared women that were physically active to women that were not as physically active. And they found that women who did the most physical activity, so more than 7 hours a week, were significantly less likely to develop fibroids than those who did the least amount of physical activity. So that's less than 2 hours a week. So again, this is something else that is backing up the case that actually there is a benefit around exercise when it comes to fibroids. Okay, so 1986, way back when, Harvard School of Public Health, they looked at athletes and non-athletes. And they found that non-athletes were at a 40% greater risk of developing fibroids than their athletic counterparts. So i.e. those people that are not as physically active, that weren't a greater risk of developing fibroids. So then, now looking at women that are actually living with fibroids. So the University of California, so 2014, they did a study where they were looking at the use of medical, surgical, and complementary treatments among women with fibroids. And so they looked at various different things. They looked at women that were using herbal remedies to try and deal with their symptoms, women that did surgery, women that used medication, and then also women that were exploring exercise. And they found that 39% of fibroids patients who tried exercise said it did improve their symptoms. So that is a positive. And so that in a nutshell is sort of the research that is out there. But what we do know is that there is a wide body of work on exercise and symptom management generally in chronic illness. So whether that's diabetes, hypertension, there's a lot of research that's been conducted to try and identify what are the benefits of exercise on people that are living with chronic illness. And this research has shown that exercise is effective for treating things like stress, anxiety, difficult emotions, and depression, for fatigue, for poor sleep, for constipation, for low energy levels, obesity and overweight, and also for pain. So a lot of the times when people are experiencing a chronic illness, they do get advice that they should keep active, because if you keep active, it has all of these benefits. So in summary, I'm going to move on. What we know is that from the research, exercise may reduce a woman's risk of developing fibroids, but it may also help alleviate the symptoms of fibroids as well. So then we have to ask the question, why may exercise have an impact on fibroids? So I guess we have to go back to the cause of fibroids, but the problem is it's unclear what exactly causes fibroids. But we do know that fibroids is probably caused by a combination of a genetic mutation in womb cells, a hormonal imbalance, trauma of the womb, and lifestyle factors. So all of these things may come together to cause fibroids. But we also know that estrogen and progesterone play a role in fibroids as well. So they play a role in the growth of fibroids. So what it is thought, it's thought that exercise actually targets these areas. It targets the hormonal imbalance. It's also targeting the fact around lifestyle factors. So it's actually making people healthier. And then specifically, it's also doing something to estrogen. And specifically what it is doing is that exercise is reducing our body fat over the long term. This leads to a reduction in our estrogen levels. And then this in turn may help alleviate the symptoms of fibroids, because you don't have as much estrogen circulating in your body. And therefore it's kind of, the idea is that it's kind of slowing the growth of the fibroid. So the idea is, this is the reason why exercise is beneficial for fibroids. But also, if you look at some of the symptoms of fibroids, we know that fibroids may result in low energy levels, and exercise can boost our energy levels, so it can treat that symptom. Also, we know that exercise triggers the release of hormones such as endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine. And because these hormones are very important in mood control, many women with fibroids who experience anxiety, stress, and difficult emotions, participating in exercise can help tackle some of these issues. So it can help improve with anxiety, making people feel less anxious, less stressful, and sort of dealing with these difficult emotions. And as we know, these hormones are called the happy hormones. The also added benefit is that endorphins tend to be like a natural painkiller. So it is possible that the endorphins can reduce fibroid-related pain. And that could be the pain associated with menstrual pain, abdominal pain, but it could be back pain and leg pain, because women with fibroids tend to get a variety of different types of pain. And so the endorphins may help reduce that fibroid-related pain. So then the question that we want to ask is then what should we do? So as women or women living with fibroids, what should you do around exercise? So the first thing is that we just need to exercise regularly. And what does exercise regularly mean? Well, the World Health Organization recommends that adults aged 18 to 64 should take part in 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity every week. And then sometimes people do ask, what is moderate intensity exercise? So moderate intensity exercise is any type of physical activity, any type of movement that increases your heart rate, but also makes you slightly breathless. So you have to do exercise that is going to really you have to put some effort into it. So you have to do quite intense exercise, so moderate amount of exercise. Also, you need to maintain a healthy weight. So like I mentioned before, if you are overweight or obese and you're living with fibroids, that means that you're likely to have higher levels of estrogen in your system. So if you can lose that weight, you can reduce the amount of estrogen in your system, and that can actually help in terms of your fibroid symptoms. So we're aiming for a BMI, so that's a body mass index of 18.5 to 24.9. So some things to consider when you're getting started with exercise is that everyone is different. So what works for Abby might not work for somebody else. So you have to really just try and look at different types of exercise that work for you, that you're comfortable with. Also understanding that change takes time, especially something around exercise will take time for you to see the benefits. So it may take a couple of months before you actually see the benefits of the exercise. But generally thinking about it, your overall aim is to adopt a healthy lifestyle. So not just exercise, you want to be eating healthy as well. And very importantly, it's good to speak to your doctor before you start any kind of new exercise routine, particularly if you have very large fibroids. You just want to make sure that you keep safe as you're doing any exercise. So the thing that we have around fibroids, or the challenge that we have with fibroids, is that the symptoms that you may be experiencing, such as pelvic pain, heavy periods, the anemia, the fatigue, the bloating, the back pain, may make exercise very challenging. And some types of exercise may actually aggravate some of the symptoms that you have. So like the pelvic pain, the bloating, it may actually aggravate some of those symptoms. So what you would want to do is you want to start very slowly and gradually do more. So as you feel more and more comfortable, as you know what exercise is going to work for you, then you can slowly kind of work up to doing more. It is a good idea to do low impact cardiovascular exercise if you have fibroids. And the reason for this is obviously if you're having abdominal pain or the heavy menstrual bleeding, that can be very uncomfortable if you do high impact cardiovascular exercise. And so it's better to start with low impact exercises such as swimming, walking, cycling, and dancing. And then also you're going to want to do some gentle strength training exercises. So things like mini squats and leg lifts, so very gentle strength training exercises. And like I was mentioning before, if you have large fibroids, it's best to avoid things like sit-ups, stomach exercises, and high impact exercises. And that is literally for what I was saying before, because if you have large fibroids, doing sit-ups and stomach exercises may actually sort of aggravate your symptoms, and you just want to be safe, you want to be comfortable when you're doing your exercises. But our speakers are going to give you some good examples of some really good low impact exercises that you can do. So they will pick up and give more detail on some of this. So really, I just want to end by saying, work out, eat well, be patient, and your body will reward you, definitely, if you put the work in. So in summary, if you have fibroids, adopting a healthy lifestyle that includes exercise can help with symptoms management. And that is it. So thank you so much for your attention. And I'm going to hand back over to Iceline.
Great. Thank you so much, Abby, for that informative presentation. Nice welcome. Introduction. Really nice introduction to our speakers who are going to go into a bit more specifics about different types of exercises. So really pleased to know, welcome to present Davina Baptiste. So Davina is born and raised on beautiful island right here in St. Kitts. She is a certified wellness coach who enjoys helping women feel their best. Her personal journey to wellness started in 2016. She was overweight most of her life and was sick and tired of feeling the way she did. So she decided to do what she needed to heal her mind, body, and soul. She shed almost 60 pounds, moved her BMI from 36 in the obese range to 24 in the normal range, and went from being able to work out for only 5 minutes to working out for more than 45 minutes. She shed old habits and negative thinking and traded them for a more positive outlook. Her journey has given her a love for the wellness of others, which has heightened during the pandemic. Davina saw the need to help people who were struggling, so she decided to become a certified wellness coach. Her mission is to deliver inspiring and motivating content and services to help as many people as possible transform their lives, body, mind, and soul. She now successfully helps women from all over the world feel vibrant, healthy, and happy. So she's grateful to be realizing her dreams and to be of service to others. So please welcome on podium Davina Baptiste. So she'll be talking to us about exercise and barre. So that is a type of exercise. Over to you, Davina.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Just give me 1 second while I get my screen up. Share. All right. Everybody seeing my slides?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, excellent. So today I'll be talking about the benefits of barre, which I know is not necessarily a popular type of exercise here in St. Kitts, but I was intrigued when I learned about it. So I decided to get some training on it. So I'm really happy to be able to share more about this wonderful type of exercise that I think will be a great fit for women who are struggling with fibroids. So I'll be covering, what is barre, the benefits of barre, and then I have some demo videos where I'll be showing you some ab exercises, upper body exercises, and moves at the barre, which will be focusing on the lower body. So before we begin, Isoli gave an intro to me. So I'm a certified wellness coach, and I'm really passionate about helping women feel their absolute best. So I help women who struggle with hormonal imbalances, and as Abby mentioned before, that plays a role in fibroid growth. And so what I do, basically aligns. So I'm so happy to be here, like I said. So I'm gonna go ahead and dive right in. And just a disclaimer, I'm not a medical doctor, but I draw from my experience as a holistic wellness coach. I encourage you to make your own healthcare decisions based on your research and in partnership with a qualified healthcare professional. This is meant for informational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases. So, what is barre? So barre was created in London by a ballerina called Lotte Burke in 1959. After she was injured, she combined her ballet routines with rehabilitative therapy, thus the birth of barre. Now, barre is a form of physical exercise usually conducted in group classes in gyms or in specialty studios. It is distinguished from other group fitness activities by its use of the ballet barre and its incorporation of movements derived from ballet. These classical dance moves and positions are also combined with those drawn from yoga and Pilates. And other equipment is sometimes used in addition to the barre, such as resistance bands, yoga straps, exercise balls, and hand weights. Now, barre classes typically focus on small, pulsating movements with emphasis on form, alignment, and core engagement. So, like we see, even though it's called barre, not all the moves are performed there. And in my training, there's a mix of floor and barre movements, so a full body workout is achieved. And I will be sharing my favorite moves with you today. So this is what a portable barre can look like. So moves can be performed at a bar or using a chair, like I will demonstrate in my videos in a little bit. But if you like, you can purchase a portable barre like this one online. I got a purple one from Amazon and I love using it, but I'll show you that you can use a chair from your home to do these exercises today. So let's talk about the benefits of barre. So as we all know, living with fibroids can be uncomfortable and just flat out painful. And we also know that leading a healthy lifestyle that is, active, that supports good hormone health, can alleviate the symptoms of fibroids. So it's important that the activity chosen is one that does not inflict any further pain or discomfort if struggling with fibroids. And that's why barre can be a good option. So the benefits include achieving long, lean muscles, improved posture and strength, improved flexibility and mobility, and it's actually zero impact. making it a great workout for women with fibroids, as there's like no jumping around and it's less likely to cause discomfort and pain related to fibroid growth. So now we're going to get into the demo videos. So we'll be looking at the ab exercises first. So this move is called 100s. And as you can see, I'm laying down. I have my head, neck, and upper back raised with my legs up. And when you're doing exercises like this, you want to stabilize your core. So what you're going to do is pretend like you're trying to make your belly button touch the back of your mat. And that way you're engaging your core muscles and really giving them the work. And then you just pulsate your arms. This next move is called leg lifts, relatively simple but very effective. So laying flat on your back with your arms down to your side. I kind of tuck my thumb under because I find that gives me a little bit more support. And again, you want to pretend like you're trying to make your belly button touch the mat to stabilize and engage your core. And then you lift your legs up in slow, steady, controlled motion. Next, this is like one of my favorite exercises of all time. It's called the Russian twist. And you're going to be in a seated position, but angled backward with your legs slightly bent and with your heels on your mat. I sometimes intertwine my big toe just to help stabilize my legs a little bit. And then you twist from side to side. You can also add weight to this. I usually use like a 6-pound weight. When I'm doing this, I just hold it in my hand while I am twisting. Next is the bicycle. Apologies for the buffering. All right. It's taking a little longer than I would like to play. My apologies for that. But the bicycle, basically you're laying flat on your back with your head, neck, and upper back slightly raised. Kind of like when you're doing a crunch, you'll put your hand behind your neck to support your neck, and then you move your legs in a bicycle motion, again engaging your core by pretending to have your belly button drill down to the mat. Next, we have scissors, again, flat on your back, engaging your core, hands down to the side, head, neck, and upper back off the mat. And you're just going to be doing that scissor action with your legs overlapping each other. So let's look at some upper body exercises. So first is a modified push-up. This is great for beginners. I still do modified push-ups to help build that upper body strength. So basically you go into push-up, but instead of being on your toes, you go on your knees, and that makes it easier if you're not as strong yet. And then as you get fitter and stronger, you can go into a classic push-up. But this is a good classic strength building move for your upper body. Then we have a lateral banded pull down. So this is where using, other items come into play. So this is like the rubber exercise bands. They're very popular. You could get them everywhere. Here in St. Kitts, I got mine at TDC. There's a pack of 3. This is the medium strength. And as you can see, I just have it kind of around my wrists with my hands open outward and pulling down behind my neck, squeezing those back muscles. This also helps the tricep area, which is great for us ladies. Sometimes when we lose a little weight, that tricep area under the arm gets a little loose. This is a great exercise to tighten that up. And then another classic move, which is the bicep curl. Apologies, it's buffering again, but very basic. In the video, I was using 6 pound weights, which is a good weight, 5 to 6 pounds when you're just starting out. And basically, you hold them in your hands with your hands outward while standing, and then you basically curl upward. Working those bicep muscles, just very simple, straightforward workout. Make sure that the moves are slow and controlled, not that you're dropping the weight down when you're going back down, but taking your time and really engaging the muscles. Next is tricep curl. Okay, this one decided to play. And as you can see here, like I said, these are 6 pound weights. Don't let the size fool you. And as you can see, my stance, I'm standing with my feet slightly apart, slightly with my back slightly bent, and just pushing backwards to work those tricep muscles. Now we go to the bar. So the names of the moves are come from ballet naturally. So here I'm showing you where I go from first position to wide second position. And as you can see in first position, I'm flat on my feet. And as I go into wide position, I go up on my toes and take that squat. And as you can see, really the purpose of the chair is to help stabilize, keep me stable while I'm doing that move. And whenever you're at the bar, make sure that you have your stomach pulled in so that your core is engaged while you're working through all these moves. Then we have a scoop and releve. This also works your ab muscles. So as you can see, I'm facing the chair, standing just a few feet away, holding onto it for support. And then I am scooping up, that engages the core muscles, and then swinging that leg back in a slow controlled motion. While on my other leg, I'm on my tiptoes. If you're not strong enough to be on your toes, you can do this with your leg flat on the ground as well. Next, we have the forward leg pulse. Now, this one will burn, but it's one of my favorites. So you're up on your toes with one leg in front of the other while facing the chair, holding on for support, and you just do a nice slow pulsation for that move. And again, if you don't feel strong enough to be on your toes, you can do this move flat on your feet as well. Then we have the abductor, another burner. So essentially you're in that first position on your toes and you're just slowly, opening and closing your legs. This one is great for the glute, all through the leg, even down your calves. You are going to feel the burn for this one. And again, with all the moves, continue to tuck in your stomach to engage your core. And that would also help stabilize you throughout the exercise. And next we have just a releve, where this time I'm showing you where I'm flat on my standing leg, and it's just pushing that leg back. That will work your glutes all the way down your leg. And I'm holding on to the chair closer to my elbows. And as you can see here, I transitioned up to my tippy toes, which again, either one, whichever you feel comfortable doing, you can do that. And then here we have a first position pulse. So just standing in that first position on your toes and staying in that lower burn of like you're doing a mini squat. And then I'll show you where I went down to flat feet. So like I said, either or, whatever you feel comfortable and strong enough to do. Perhaps you can start flat on the ground, and then as you get stronger, you can transition to going on your toes. So when it comes to the bar exercises, be sure to do both legs. So what you'll do, like for example, if you did a sequence of movements like I just showed, you will do all the moves on one side and then move to the other side. So essentially you're fatiguing all the muscles on one side before moving on to the other. So thank you for the opportunity to share this knowledge with you. And I hope that it is useful to you in helping you jumpstart your wellness journey. And then, of course, if you're interested in working with me, I help women who struggle with hormonal imbalances through good nutrition, healthy mindset, movement, stress management, self-care, and of course, education. And I could not love doing anything more. And I will close with this quote: movement is a medicine for creating change in a person's physical, emotional, and mental states. And this was said by Carol Welch.
Okay, thank you so much, Davina. You definitely shared something, well, I learned something new about barre exercise, and you make it look so simple with your demonstration. So thank you so much for that. Okay, so we will be taking questions towards the end of all the presentations, but feel free to drop any questions in the chat or in the Q&A box as we go through, and you see anything that you have a question on or want to comment on. That's very welcome. So moving right along to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Jayshree Thokal. Jayshree was born in India and currently lives in St. Kitts. She is a qualified yoga instructor and trainer and is a prenatal and postnatal yoga practitioner with 14 years of experience. Jayshree holds a Master of Arts and a Master of Education and has over 20 years of experience in the education sector, where she has worked as a teacher, coordinator, supervisor, and headmistress. So welcome, Jayshree. I'll put it over to you to deliver your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to share this platform and to share my knowledge of my yoga. And I'm really overwhelmed with the St. Kitts people and to share with them my yoga knowledge. We will moving on to the yoga. And I guess yoga is not a new word for you guys. Everyone know what is yoga, right? So I would like to share my presentation with you guys. Yoga for women with fibroids. So today we are going to cover all the topics. What is yoga? History of yoga, difference between yoga and exercise, benefits of yoga, yoga for fibroids, yoga poses, breathing exercise that are called as a pranayama, little brief about diet, and at the end we will have a demo video. Almost Miss Abby and Davina has shared the knowledge about different types of physical exercise and what is the fibroids. So we will begin with the yoga. What is yoga? Yoga is not just twisting and bending the body or showing some kinds of moves. Yoga is actually originated from India, and the name itself, yoga, says it is invented or originated from the Sanskrit word yuj. Yuj means unity or united. So yoga is not just bending and twisting the body and holding the breath for a long time, but it creates a balance between the body and the mind to realize the self-alignment. It never recognizes any barriers of age, sex, or religion. It is nothing but the union of mind, body, and spirit. It never ends with only the physical exercise, but it will take you for the bliss, the level of your eternal bliss, or the satisfaction or peace of your mind and heart and soul. Yoga is originated from the Sanskrit word yuj, which means to join or to unite. The union refers to that your mind with your body to integrate with your surroundings and nature. It involves the follow of physical postures and poses that mentioned as asana in Sanskrit, and in English is called as different kinds of postures. And why do we want yoga? Somehow the benefits of yoga and exercise are similar, and the reasons why you want to conduct physical activities or exercise or the yoga are the similar. So nowadays the life is so much agitated and pressure with the too much stress. So yoga always helps us to come out from this stressful life. And yoga is the answer for all the issues. It offers harmless solution to those issues with the sort of relaxation. So let's moving on to the history of yoga. It has been said that the Maharishi Patanjali is the father of yoga. Maharishi Patanjali is considered as the father of yoga, and he was the first one to systemize the practices of yoga, what is believed to be, and then it was spread over the world. He has all his knowledge. He composed in few lines or few verses, which is called as the Yoga Sutras. He disseminated the meaning of yoga and the knowledge it has to offer, and this was called as a Raj Yoga. He introduced the Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, these are the 8 limbs. You will see it in English, like your yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama. Yamas means external discipline. Niyamas is internal disciplines. Asanas is nothing but the poses for our postures. Pranayama is working with our breath, or is being called as a breathing exercise. Pratyahara, control of the senses. Dharana, immobile concentration. Dhyana is a meditation on divine. And the topmost level and the last level, or the last position of a yoga, or the last stage of the yoga is the samadhi. It's the absolute bliss. Now, who brought this yoga from India to the Western world, and how the everybody got the knowledge about the yoga? And the most important contribution of this person, and the name of that person is Swami Vivekananda. He was largely responsible for the spread of yoga to the Western societies. He had his first speech in America in Chicago conference, and then he slowly, gradually spread his knowledge about yoga. Yoga spread to the West in the mid-19th of the century. Such was the long and illustrious journey that yoga undertook to reach the 21st century. Now, what is the difference between yoga and exercise? Yoga says, it is briefly stated in a Sanskrit phrase. It is called Sthira Sukham Asanam. Sthira is a steady, Sukham Asanam is a posture, steady posture. Exercise is always competitive, that if you have to meet some kind of target, you have to meet, if you have a target of 50, any activity, whether it's walking or abs or a squat, you have to reach that goal. Whereas yoga is not competitive. You have to maintain that posture, or you have to reach to that state as per your level. So what is the difference you will see into the dip? I will just have 2-3 points that in yoga, there are limitless possibilities of growth in self-awareness. And in exercise, there is generally no aspect of self-awareness. In yoga, awareness is internal, and in exercise, awareness is external, because it is more focused on the reaching the goal, reaching the finishing line, or to reach the goal which was set by your trainer. Yoga is a non-competitive, process-oriented, whereas exercise is commonly competitive and goal-oriented. Moving on to the next is the benefits of yoga. I already mentioned that there are the similarities between the benefits of yoga and exercise. So it helps for your brain function, strong heart, it boosts your immunity, it gives you better sleep, it improves your mood, it increases the bone density, it helps for maintaining the pulses, but it will tone your body will be in perfect shape, you will have nice muscles, it will strengthen your muscles. So these are the different types of benefits which are equivalent to your exercise. Now, what yoga and fibroids? I'm really impressed with the presentation of Abby, where she has shown the picture of fibroids and everything. So there is no direct impact of yoga on your fibroids issues. There is no evidence that the twisting yoga postures will shrink your fibroids, but they may help alleviate discomfort as they help open the abdominal area and massage the lower spine, areas that are common problems for women with trained fibroids. Yoga cannot help to shrink or shrink fibroids, but it may help you to relieve stress. This can reduce the symptoms of fibroids present. Now, different types of yoga poses. These are basically called as the yogasanas. Yogasana in English, and the posture in English it is called as a postures or a poses. And the phrase which I said, Sthirasthana Sukham, it is a steady and comfortable seat. Asanas are also called as yoga poses and yoga postures. Basically, there are 4 types of yogas. First is a standing, second one is sitting, third is a supine, lying down on your back, and the fourth one is prone, that's lying down on your belly. Now, a few examples of a standing asanas. Standing poses which strengthen the legs and are some of the first foundational poses. These are the pictures of or examples of standing asanas like Tadasana, Konasana. All the names are here in a Sanskrit word. Netrajasana. Second one is the sitting poses. Seated asanas are focused on a deep stretching and often include forward bend like VAJRASANA, Paschimottanasana, Shashankasana. Supine poses are done lying on your back. Here is Baddha Konasana, Pranayama, and last is the Savasana. Prone pose, the opposite of spine, is a prone position lying on the stomach. So you could see on this picture there are some Yogasana, Makarasana, or Dhanurasana. We will see the demo at the end. Yogasanas and fibroids. Here I want to show you a few pictures of asanas. This one is first Yogasana for fibroid, and this asana is really helpful and has a good impact and very easy. You can do it. This is first is called as Utthasana, is a standing forward bend. It has several benefits. It alleviates anxiety, relieves headaches. Your mind will be quiet. Vajrasana is a thunderbolt pose. Paschimottanasana. Bhujangasana, it is called as a cobra poses. Shalabhasana, it is called as a lotus pose. This is Dhanurasana. You will see everything in my video. Halasana. Sarvangasana, it is called as a standing on your shoulder. It is very, very beneficial for all the females related issues. And at the end, after performing all the asanas, we end with the Shavasana. Lying down on the back. And then next thing, after pranayama, after all the poses or asanas, we can begin with the pranayama. It's the breathing exercise, and medically it is proven everywhere that when the world is shattered with the corona pandemic, and all the medical experts, they recommend the patient in hospitals to perform the breathing exercise, they have their everyday morning session for the breathing exercise, as it helps to regulate your breathing and improve your breathing, as well as it will help to increase in your immunity boosting, and it will bring you from negative state to come into the positive state. It has different types of, there are following exercise of pranayama. First is Anulom Vilom. I will show you later on if we will have a time. Then we have some primary pranayama, Kapalabhati. Everybody well known that Kapalabhati, primary, Shitali pranayama, Chitakari pranayama, Ujjaini pranayama, Astika pranayama. These are different styles of breathing exercise. And what are the benefits of pranayama? Pranayama strengthens your lungs. It acts as a stress reliever. It improves your concentration. It helps in detoxification. It is always good for your nasal passages and sinuses. It improves your sleep quality. You can have a deep sleep, sound sleep. Pranayama boosts your immunity, improves cardiovascular health. Pranayama improves digestion and makes mind well coordinated. I will recommend you guys to practice regular pranayama, even if you say that you have a very hectic schedule, you don't have time to perform the asanas. Please go for breathing exercise. That is the best medicine for today's challenging world of corona. And I would like to focus for your diet. One thing for all the female related issues, don't eat late at night, and whatever you're eating, it should be what? Just ask yourself, is this food is good for my health, or just I want to eat? Is my tongue want? So am I eating? No. So here is little brief description about diet. Diet high in fiber and low in fat, that's oatmeal, fruits such as prawns, pears, and figs. Add some soya products to diet to combat the fibroids. Reduce sugar intake, alcohol consumptions, and foods high in saturated fats. Digestion makes it difficult for the body to regulate hormones, making cramps and bloating increases. Eat fruits and vegetables in bulk, like spinach and broccoli help stabilize estrogen levels. Avoid eating late at night. I would recommend you guys try to have your dinner around 7:30. Maximum, you can stretch up to 8 o'clock, but avoid having your dinner or your heavy meal after 8 p.m. It is one of the significant contributing factors to growth of fibroids, and not just fibroids. I will again focus on this sentence that eating late night. Avoid eating late night for all PCODs, PCOCs, any female related issues, uterus issues. Try to stop eating late at night. And now we will move to the videos. I would like to request Miss Abby, please share my video. Abby, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. So you just need to stop sharing, and then I will share. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see it?
No, I can't see.
You can't.
Your legs straight in front of you.
Oh, I can.
Hold the
Can you see now?
Yes, I
Okay.
can.
Vajrasana. This is also called as a thunderbolt or a diamond pose. Sit with your legs straight in front of you. Now fold the right leg and bring the right heel under the right buttock. Sitting on the right heel, fold the left and bring the left heel under the left buttock. Sit erect comfortably with the buttocks on both the heels and palms resting on the thighs. In the final postures, the sole of the feet face upwards, heels are kept together, and the entire weight of the body is felt on the back of the feet. If you are a beginner, you may want to keep a cushion under your feet for comfort to prevent ankle pain. You could also choose to keep a cushion or a blanket above the feet and below the knees in case of a knee pain. Keep your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Place your palms on your thighs facing upwards. You can maintain this pose around 30 seconds to 10 to 5 minutes. Enjoy the asana. Slowly you can release your asana. The benefits of these asanas are it cures indigestion, acidity, gas formation, constipation, increases the digestion process. It is helpful for stomach disorders. This is the only asana which you can perform after your heavy lunch and dinner. Dhanurasana. This is also called as a bow pose. Instructions. The body takes the shape of a billow. Lie down on the ground on your belly or your stomach. Bend the knees backward. Hold the feet with hands below the ankles. Take a deep breath and raise the chest as high as possible. Now stretch the feet so that the body takes the shape of bow. Stay in this position as long as you can while breathing out. Relax the body and come in the initial position. You can repeat these asanas for 3 to 4 times. These asanas helps for the back and abdominal muscles. It adds greater flexibility to the back. It alleviates stress and fatigue, relieves the menstrual discomfort and constipation, helps people with renal or kidney disorders. Ladies should avoid practicing this yoga pose during pregnancy. Do not practice Dhanusasana if you have high or low blood pressure, hernia, neck injury, pain in lower back, or a headache or a migraine. Moving on to the next asana, it's Halasana. Halasana is also called as a plow pose. Instructions: lie down on the ground on your back. Keep the palms along the body and put them straight on the ground. Slowly lift the lower part of your body, that's the feet, in a rhythm. First at the 45 degrees, then 90 degrees, then bring your feet parallel to the ground. Touch the ground behind the hair with the toes. Stay in this position for 10 to 15 seconds, or as per your capacity you can maintain this pose. Then slowly come back to the initial positions. Enjoy the asanas. When you release the asana, follow the same steps. 90 degrees, then 45 degrees, and then keep your legs or feet down. Benefits of this asana would be: it strengthens and opens up the neck, shoulders, abs, and back muscles. It calms the nervous system. It reduces stress and fatigue. It tones the legs and improves the leg flexibility. It stimulates the thyroid gland and strengthens the immune system. It is helpful for women during menopause. It's helpful in reducing weight and back pain. Contradictions of these asanas is: avoid practicing this asana if you have injured your neck or are suffering from diarrhea or a high blood pressure. Ladies should stop practicing during pregnancy or the first 2 days of their menstrual cycle. Shalabhasana, locust pose. Instructions: lie down on the ground on your stomach. Make the fist of your palms with the thumbs tucked in and place them under the thighs with the back of hands toward the ground. While inhaling, raise both the legs up as far as comfortable without bending the knees. Maintain this position for about 1 minute with normal breathing. Come back to Sthiti while exhaling and relax. Note, pull up the knees caps and squeeze the buttocks to improve the posture. Benefits of this asana would be: it is helpful in managing sciatica and a low backache. It tones up the kidney and hip muscles. It reduces fat on thighs and buttocks. Limitations would be: the cardiac patients and diabetic may avoid this posture and proceed cautiously in low back pain. Sarvangasana. This is also called as the shoulder stand. Instructions. Lie down your back. Raise the legs. Raise the legs together slowly and gracefully without bending the knees till it forms about 45 degrees to the ground. Continue. Raise the legs further to 90 degrees. Bring the arms down and place them next to the buttocks. Raise the buttocks and the trunk, taking support of the arms and elbows without lifting the head. Rest the elbows on the ground firmly and support the back with both palms. While retaining the legs parallel to the ground, straighten the trunks by pushing it with the hands until the chin is well set in suprasternal hollow. Inhale and raise the legs vertically, keeping the body erect. And come to the final shoulder stand position. Maintain effortlessly with normal breathing about 2-3 minutes. Carefully avoid all jerks. Slowly come back to Sthiti and relax in Shavasana. Benefits of this Sarvangasana. It stimulates the thyroid and parathyroid glands and normalizes their functions. Strengthens the arms and shoulders and keeps the spine flexible. Nourishes the brain with more blood. Stretches the heart muscles by returning more veins blood to the heart. Brings relief from constipation, indigestion, and varicose veins. It cures piles. Contradictions. Consult your physician before doing these asanas. If you have any health issues related to any health conditions like blood pressure, heart problem, slip disc, spondylosis, neck pain, acute thyroid problem, avoid these asana. Bhujangasana, Cobra pose. Instructions: bend the arms at the elbow and place the palms beside the lower chest at the level of the last rib, exerting least pressure on the palms. Keep the elbows close to each other and let them not spread out. Inhale and come up. Arch the dorsal spine and neck backwards as far as you can. Keep the body below the navel in touch with the crown. Maintain the final position with the normal breathing for 1 minute with the least pressure on the palms. While exhaling, come back to Sthiti position and relax. Tips would be avoid jerks and overstretching. You may instinctively move your shoulders away from your ears. Keep them relaxed, even if it means bending your elbow. With regular practice, you will be able to deepen the stretch by strengthening the elbows. Benefits will be this brings the flexibility to the dorsal spine, strengthens the spinal muscles, reduces the abdominal fat, useful in management of bronchial problems and back problems. And the contradictions will be avoid practicing this asana if you are pregnant. Do not practice if you have fractured ribs or wrist or have recently undergone abdominal surgeries such as a hernia. Do not practice during an asthmatic attack. Practice the cobra pose under the train.
Thank you so much, Abhi, for sharing this video. Guys, yoga is a very nice journey. It's not
You're
just bending and twisting, but you follow the instructions. Or if you want to begin this journey, always consult a good yoga practitioner. Just don't follow any videos and try to do at home, because it's harmful for you guys. If one won't correct you, if your stretching is wrong, it will be sometimes you may injure badly. Okay, so thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to come on this platform and share my knowledge. And really good to see you. I'm really grateful to Lake Health and Wellbeing Foundation, who has given me this opportunity to interact with you guys. And thank you so much, beautiful ladies. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Jayshree, for putting together that presentation and giving us that history about yoga and where that's originated, and for the demos, really helpful. So we will move right on into our final presenter today, who is Miss Michelle Sutton. And Michelle is going to talk to us a little bit about some low impact exercises. So we have a variety of exercises that we've been talking about today. So a little bit about Michelle. Michelle has been involved in health and wellness practically all her life. Her journey started as a student athlete from early primary and throughout secondary school. During her mid-teenage years, she realized that sports did not automatically equate to fitness and health, which shifted her focus and revealed her passion and love for health and wellness. Michelle's journey continued, allowing her to earn a Bachelor of Physical and Health Education with further graduate studies in health education and certification in holistic nutrition. Additionally, Michelle is also a registered massage therapist. She is currently working with the Ministry of Education as the Health and Wellness Curriculum Coordinator, where she works to support the development of a strong foundation in health and wellness for children and youth. Michelle believes that a strong understanding of health and wellness is a necessary building block for a rich, mindful, and holistic way of life for all. So over to you, Michelle, for your presentation. Thank you so much for joining us. You're on mute, Michelle. We can't hear you, so you're on mute.
Sorry, you know how it is. Good
No
afternoon,
problem.
everyone. Thank you, Iceline. And I'll start sharing my screen. And hopefully everything will wrap up nicely when we're looking at what was mentioned about barre and yoga, and ensuring that when we are exercising and we're doing the low impact exercises that Abby had mentioned, we're mindful of what we need to do in order to stay fit and healthy for life. So just a quick overview, because when we hear low impact, what does that mean? Sometimes people feel that it means that it's a low intensity, almost like a beginner type exercise, when in reality, low impact exercise really just means that you're protecting your joints. So based on the images on the screen, there's a plethora of different exercises you can do. Many persons think about swimming, walking, cycling, and so forth. But when you're looking at aerobic exercises, one of the things that we want to take in consideration is that one foot stays on the ground at all times. So when we're looking at the barre, again, as it was presented, both feet were on the ground majority of the time. And it's also with the yoga that was presented, that's why we consider them low impact exercises. But ultimately, we're looking at avoiding running, jumping, anything that's very jarring. And especially living with fibroids, we understand that we don't want to add too much stress to the abdominal region. And as Abby indicated earlier, is that we want to also ensure that we're not aggravating any other symptomology you may be experiencing that will stop you from exercising. So low impact exercises range from high to low intensity, and ultimately that should not stop you from exercising. So when we think about exercise, ultimately you're doing it to become fit. And there's a lovely acronym that we utilize in health and wellness to become fit. It's the FIT principle. I'm not sure if everyone's heard of it before, but this is one of the things that stuck with me, and I love teaching about it and with the students, and also it extends into the adult population. But what does FIT mean? It's simple enough that allows you to understand frequency. That means you have to exercise often. How often? You should be doing at least 3 times a week or more. And then intensity, how hard do you exercise? And it was mentioned earlier that we want to make sure that we are exercising and where breathing is a little bit more difficult, heavier breathing. But just to show you this little tidbit of information is that moderate exercise refers to ultimately looking at 50% of your max. And that includes that when you're exercising, you should be able to speak full sentences with a breath in between. If you're going for a walk, if you're walking in the morning, for example, as you're low impact exercising and you're actually holding a whole conversation, you're not within the target area to reap the benefits of exercise, to be fit. So you want to ensure that even if you do moderate intense exercise, means that you're able to say one sentence and take a breath, but not having a continuous conversation. And then you go as hard as hard or vigorous exercise, which includes short phrases. So if I am walking or strolling with my friends, it'll be like, okay, how's everything feeling? I'm feeling okay. It should not be that long. It should be 2 to 3 words at max. So that gives you an idea of how hard you should be exercising. And then time is of the essence all the time. We always have to be mindful of the time. And as was mentioned before, we should be getting at least 150 minimum a week, but then also 150 minutes a week refers to the moderate intensity. As your intensity increases, you can look at shorter intervals, but ultimately 75 minutes a week if you're doing vigorous, which is the 75%. So kind of think about 75% as in the if you're looking at moderate intensity, as in the top, and you're breathing fast and it's more difficult to breathe, to talk. And then we're looking at the minimum, which is only 50, and that should be no less than 150 minutes per week. And ultimately, it's always in combination. You could do moderate to hard. There's no set rule, but ultimately, when you're looking at fitness gains, you want to ensure that you're working at the right intensity. And low impact exercises allows us to do that. And so, depending on how you're feeling, something is better than nothing. So even if you start off at 10 minutes this morning because of time, you might do another 15 minutes at the end of the day, and that comes up to 25 minutes. Many times when you're looking at exercise, I know I'm guilty of it. I came from a sporting background and I'm so accustomed to working out for a minimum of 45 minutes or a training session for an hour and a half. And then as work, you go into the working environment, dealing with children, also with various health conditions. I suffer from a hernia where I understand the importance of protecting your abdominal area. I may not get that half an hour or 45 minutes. And then it turns me off from, am I able to exercise? But that is not the case. Ultimately, a 5-minute routine and then add on to another 5-minute routine or 5-minute routine along with a 25, you can build your minutes up to getting the number of minutes per day, a session, or to get to your weekly expectation. And the last T is type. What kind of exercises you can do. And the types of exercise you can do when it comes to low impact, there is so much, the variety is so wide that ultimately you should not be getting bored. And we presented on 2 areas, which is yoga and the barre, but I'll show you how the variety out there is able to allow you to become fit using the FIT principle. And then as you get stronger, as we said, to go gradually, you do not want to jump into exercise thinking that you want it to be a challenge, as in you're trying to compete with someone or anyone around you. You're doing it for yourself, but you use the first 3 T's to help you stay fit. So as you get stronger, I go from 2 or 3 sessions a week, I might go to 4 sessions a week, or I stick to my 3 sessions a week and I increase my intensity. So I go from moderate, I might do a little bit more hard, and go back to moderate. And then, or time, I go from, as Davina indicated, she went from being able to exercise for minutes at a time to up to 45 minutes to an hour. So don't be too hard on yourself, and you use those 3 letters, FIT, in order to stay fit and help you stay on track. So the second T in fit is the most important part, as we like to discuss today, is the variety, and that's the type. The type is actually, how can I say, is the matter of, there's so many different types of exercises that you can do, but ultimately we want to look at these 3 areas when you are exercising. Is cardio, you'll hear cardio, which is the endurance type activities, strength, building muscular endurance and muscular strength, and flexibility. And the beauty about the type is that you don't necessarily have to stick to just one or cardio exercise or stick to strength exercise only or flexibility exercise. In a low impact exercise routine, you could touch on all three. So it's not a matter of just picking one or two, but ultimately ensuring that you're doing all three throughout the week. And many times you can do a combination of the three, which helps to be more time effective and more efficient. If you look a little closer to the middle icon, the strength one is actually a 10-minute standing exercise, which is low impact, and it's a cardio exercise routine. And these are available online videos that you could to log on to. But ultimately, I just wanted to highlight the fact that even though it's a strength routine, it can be a cardio routine, which in turn may be also a flexibility routine. So you don't have to get stuck in just thinking that I'm only doing cardio today and only doing strength today. You actually could do all three every time you exercise, which becomes more efficient. So when you think of the last T, it makes it so much easier to maintain the frequency, intensity, and type, because you won't get too bored or think that there isn't anything for you to do, because in low impact, you always could meet your target. And this slide, I would like to present on the fact that how personal exercise is. We mentioned it over and over again that we have to ensure that what you're doing is for your growth, for your health and wellness. And it's not a matter of comparing yourself to someone down the street or even someone within your family. Sometimes some person in families, we have a different body type, but ultimately our health status can dictate what we can and cannot do. And in the case with fibroids, sometimes there are mornings and afternoons that are not, every day is going to be a little different depending on your menses and so forth. So I just wanted to highlight some of the many variables that do come into play. Mood affects all of us. And mood, the beauty about a mood is that you go from being frustrated and tense right over to cheerful within minutes. And that is something to take in consideration, that if you are having a really good day, be mindful of your physical status at times, because you can overexert yourself, and especially when you're looking at certain health conditions that we may have, including fibroids. And ultimately, it could go shifted the other way. You could be very frustrated, and by doing a 2-minute exercise routine, it boosts you up, or a 3-minute exercise routine, and allows you to continue into another 15, 20. Your physical status, as we're indicating with fibroids, we have to be mindful of what is going on with your body in the moment when you're going to exercise. And it does change day to day and within the hour, morning and afternoon. But just be mindful of that if you are experiencing any cramping and you do not want to do anything too strenuous on your abdominal area, you can do 10 to 15 upper body exercise sitting down. And that will help you'll feel good at the end of that exercise routine, knowing that even though physically your abdominal area is irritated, you're able to do something because you're thinking outside the box, that exercise is not only one way. I can look at my upper body and do it and get in my time, and intensity can be very high with the upper body seated activity. Another thing to consider in this picture, many things might come to mind, but space. Again, many times we think about exercise in a particular vacuum. I'm accustomed to going to the gym. I'm accustomed to going to walking. I'm accustomed to doing these things. And especially with the COVID, we have recognized that we have to learn to exercise within the comfort of our homes. And also the space. The space that you have at home may not be your ideal space, and being able to exercise within a small space, but taking the time to analyze what's going on around you and taking into consideration. As you can see in this picture, the lady is in an open concept living space. There's a dining room tables there. There's plants and so forth, but ultimately she's able to find a little space to do her exercise, and what she chose is something that takes up a little bit of space. And I mentioned time before as part of the FIT principle, but time really is of the essence when it comes down to exercising. We have to get the time in, but getting the time in doesn't mean that you be stuck to a particular amount of time to exercise at each session. You could do a 5-minute session, you could do a 10-minute session, and go up to 30, 40, and so forth. You could do it in intervals. And especially when we're looking at a lot of the infomercials, and when we look at exercise, what comes to mind is that 30 to 40 minute, and that is not something that you have to worry about. You can create, be mindful of what your needs are and your time restrictions are, and you can find the time. 2 minutes is enough. 2 minutes add on to another 5 minutes another time in the day. That's 7 minutes, add on to another 10 minutes, and that is almost 20 minutes right there by breaking up the intervals. Fitness attire is something to be very mindful of. I know within my athletic journey as a student athlete, a sports bra does not cut it for me. I'm a heavier set lady. I'm very voluptuous. I love my curves. But when it comes to sports, I do not like feeling myself move the movement of my upper body in particular. And it's distracting. But what I have learned to do is actually I wear 2 bras, sometimes even 3, depending on the support I have. It might sound funny, but it's something to be realistic about, because sometimes the way you feel in your clothing while you're exercising is a deterrent. So when I had some friends who don't have to wear any undergarments, I'll be like so jealous of them, and then they're watching me strap on my armor. But all joke aside, that is my personal experience, and it's something that we got to be mindful of. And then when you look at the yoga pants or the high-waisted pants, which I find to be very helpful, it does provide that level of support, because when you have that support around your abdomen, and if your abdomen is a little weak, that extra support does help to alleviate the stress that you may experience while doing certain activities. I also wear a porous bottom zip-up vest. That is, I could adjust the tightness with a Velcro strap, because with a hernia, sometimes I do not want that stress on my hernia. I might be irritated. So I loosen it up, but it provides that abdominal support. And it's something that is very mindful. I am very mindful of women who do have fibroids. These are little tips that at times only experience allows you to really understand, because we don't spend much time speaking about attire, but it's something to consider and to ensure that you take the time to figure out what your needs are that will support you to exercise. And then as this picture of the young lady here looks, she is not too enthusiastic about that weight exercise, using the strength exercise that day. You do not have to feel stuck that is one type, one way. You invested into a video series. If you do not want to do it, you don't have to feel compelled to do it. There's so much information out there because of technology. You could pick up your app, you could find fitness apps on your phone. You could, and also my next slide will speak about the availability of videos. But at the end of the day, we want to ensure that we don't get stuck in one way, and that you make sure that your exercise experience is very personal. What do you need to do in order for you to exercise in the best way, and making consideration your physical, your mental, and your environment around you. So the key to being fit, frequency, intensity, time, and type, is variety. Ensuring that we get those 4 variables in is making sure that you don't get bored, that you can take in consideration the time that you have, and so forth. And my go-to is YouTube. I love a YouTube fitness video. As a matter of fact, I fell in love with Pop Sugar in particular, because at every video series that they actually have a modifier. So even though I typed in, I go onto YouTube, I go into the search box, I put in low impact workout, and since I like Pop Sugar, I will go straight to Pop Sugar Fitness. But ultimately, utilize the search engine to look to see what you can find, and you review it before you enter into start doing it to make sure it suits your needs. But the variety is there, right there with your smart devices. If you want a dance routine, you click in the dance routine, and you have the 20-minute exercise videos, you have the 30, you have up to an hour. But even if by watching their dance routine for 20 minutes, you might just put on your own music, recognize that it's all about getting moving, getting the intensity level that you know that you have to be breathing, increase your breathing rate, ensuring that you are within the intensity zone to make sure that you are benefiting from the exercise. And just by watching that video for 5 minutes, you are empowered to just put on your own music and dance. And then again, when it comes to time, you can type in a 5-minute routine, you could type in a 10-minute routine, literally almost every interval, 2 minutes. I've typed in 2 minutes routine and gotten a 2-minute exercise routine. So with that bearing in mind, that's why I really enjoy technology. What technology has provided us now with is that you don't have to think too much into what you want to do. By just typing in what you need, you'll be bound to find it. So for me, when I found this 5-minute low impact video for kids and adults, I fell in love with it, just the idea of it, because I have a little one at home and she wants to exercise with me. And it can be a distraction per se, but it's those exercises that they were doing in that video meets her needs when it comes down to her coordination. She gets fed up after 5 minutes, she leaves, and then I could go back into another video, for example. Or I know what plays on some person's mind is that intensity. You hear a lot of acronyms, a HIIT video. HIIT means high intensity interval training. And when you hear high intensity, sometimes person's minds go straight to running high impact exercises, where again, you can do a HIIT video, which is low impact, and ultimately be 5 minutes. So as you start improving on your exercise journey or your fit journey, you can do high intensity exercises, but ultimately do the research to ensure that you can keep that variety going. And as I mentioned before, in order for you to know to exercise with and take in mind everything that is out there, know what you want. Knowing what you want is the first step forward to getting it. So I know what I need. I need to dance, so I like my dance workout. I know I have to do my low impact. I go straight to that. And I also know I need to find something that might be shorter in time that allows me to exercise with my little one. But these are things to take in consideration, and you don't have to feel forced to follow what someone else is doing. So as a quick recap, we want to be mindful of what low impact is. So when you are exercising and sometimes you feel a little better about yourself, or even your symptomology is a good day, but if it's been recommended that you stick to a low impact exercise routine, make sure you have one foot on the ground at all times. Okay. The next thing to consider is that use that fit principle. Use the fit principle to become fit. Making sure that you understand the frequency at least 3 times a week. The intensity is moderate to moderate to vigorous activity level, and that means 50 to 70% of your max. So either you're able to exercise and take a breath between one sentence, or you're exercising only able to say 1 or 2 words at a time. And that is one thing to take consideration to become healthy and fit for life. Last thing is that time, as I mentioned, reinforcing the fit principle. Be mindful of the amount of time you are spending per week to exercise. No less than 150, but if you are gonna be a little bit more, the intensity is gonna be a little higher, you can go as low as 75 minutes. That's the minimum, okay? And again, be very mindful of the fact that exercise is very personal. Be mindful of your physical status or your physical state. Be mindful of your time. Be mindful of your space, and be mindful of your feelings. Mindfulness is very key. And then even with your feelings, as I mentioned before, sometimes I do not feel like doing it. I do a 2-minute routine, get hyped up again, and I go on to a 15, 20-minute routine. I put on some music, dance around, and then it gets me going again. I'm not thinking about exercise in the traditional way that I have to be doing it 30 minutes at a time. And as I mentioned before, variety, as we always heard this phrase before, variety is the spice of life, but consistency is the sugar. As we mentioned, that to reap the benefits of the exercise routine, we have to remain consistent. And even though we're supposed to avoid the sugar, this is how you get your sugar in your life, is that you know that through the consistency, you'll reap the benefits of a healthy lifestyle, and it will help to alleviate the symptomology of fibroids. So ultimately, I'd like to thank you for listening, and I look forward to the questions that we have at the end.
Great. Thank you so much, Michelle, for that presentation. You really tied everything together and reminding us of the tips. I like the FIT acronym. It was really good to remember. So right now at this time, know that we've had all of our speakers present. It's an opportunity for us to take questions. If there are any from the floor, we have our attendees online. If you have any questions, you could drop them in the chat or raise your hand, since there's only 2 we have so far, but any questions that we have. And also from other panelists, if you have questions for each other, it's an opportunity for us to have conversation. Open to that. There's a lot of information that was shared. So I really hope that, people were able to take something away. Are there any questions? I don't see anything in the Q&A or in the chat for now. Okay. Okay. Well, if there aren't any questions, I don't know, Abby, if you had anything that you wanted to highlight in terms of upcoming webinars. So this is the second webinar in our fibroids series. So I'll let Abby speak a little bit more if we don't have any questions right now.
Yeah, so next week, Saturday, same time, same place, and we're going to look at, I think, a very important area, which is an area that people don't necessarily focus on, which is fibroids and your mental health. So we'll have a registered, qualified counselor who's going to talk to us a little bit about some of the mental health impacts of fibroids. So feel free to join. You can register. We'll send a link out for you to register for that webinar as well. And then we'll also send a link out for the recording of this webinar so that you can also refer to it later on. I think that's it. Yeah. So join us next week for fibroids and your mental health.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And again, just, kind of summary and recap. Thank you to each of our panelists. So, we had Abby who did a little summary and the benefits of that in general, particularly for women living with fibroids. And then we had Davina who really introduced us to barre, and really some demos. We had Jayshree talks about yoga, and Michelle telling us about the various low impact exercise options when it comes to finding opportunities and time to exercise and how important that is. So thank you all very much to our panelists. If there are no questions, again, so that's all that we have today. I hope you have enough information to sit on and to use.
Oh, all right. She disappeared. So thank you, everyone. Thank you guys very much.